And to further discuss the eccentric loads, here's a graph right here. And it shows the difference of force output when we have just a static hold position versus a pre-stretch. That will help us use an equation called impulse, which is force multiplied by time. What is going on, everybody? It is Hopper, it is Brutus, and I forgot to mention last time, we got the Ultra Warrior with us. Of course, he always needs to be with us. He's a big part of this group.
Pinfall, submission, or count out. From the Legion of Doom, hawk your thought.
Today we will discuss one activity that everybody can do to improve their explosiveness, to improve their vertical jump, to improve their power, their work divided by time, to improve their speed, distance divided by time. This one drill, this one movement is exceptional. So here we go. The eccentric phase. Also, the eccentric, and then we have concentric paradigm, if you will. Hope I spelled that right. And in between these two, we have core and neuromuscular stability. And the way our muscle tissues work is the tissues must always have a stretch before they generate any sort of force production. It's a law that we just cannot avoid. And so we have this eccentric concentric paradigm, and the arrows start up here from the eccentric and they come down to here, and then the concentric back up. There is no way that we can generate force without the tissue generating some sort of pre-stretch. And with respect to this idea of the eccentric load is when the tissue lengthens and there's some sort of tension on it.
But no! One older brother had to go and screw it up.
Oftentimes we will experience the inability of our tissues to not stretch out that well.
I mean, it's,
Larry, you're here to be a part of our spiritual community.
No, I'm here because I have a bad hamstring.
And without any actual resistance training, squats, deadlifts, lunges, we can take an individual and improve their vertical jump, their standing long jump, just by focusing on the eccentric phase. And so by the eccentric phase, when we squat down, when the proximal end of the hamstrings, so the hamstrings that are actually originate by this ischial tuberosity right here and come down and insert onto the knee, when we can get a nice efficient load on those proximal ends of the hamstrings, that's going to help generate so much more of a contractile force. The idea of going into a gym and just focusing on force production really isn't as beneficial as it might seem to be. The ability to decelerate, the ability to load those hamstrings and the quadricep tissues far exceeds any ability to generate force. And if I recall correctly, one of the statistics that I often reference is, I believe it's 70% of injuries to the ACL occur in the eccentric phase while the athlete is landing. So the stronger we are in the eccentric phase, the stronger we're going to be with the force production, because we cannot avoid this eccentric concentric paradigm. And to further discuss the eccentric loads, here's a graph right here, and it shows the difference of force output when we have just a static hold position versus a pre-stretch. So as you can see, the better the tissue releases, the more of a force output that we're going to generate. And here's another graph right here that represents the rate at which the tissue stretches. As you can see in this graph, the slower the tissue stretches, the less force production that we're going to have. The faster the tissue stretches, the more force production that we're going to have. So both the efficiency of the stretch and how well it stretches, as well as the velocity of the eccentric load, are both big components of the force production that we can generate. So regardless as to what our sport is, if we are training for basketball and our vertical jump, if it's wrestling and we focus hard on our double leg, or if we're out and about on a Halloween evening and we're trying to fight off skeletons, or even if we train for track and field and we're trying to find Ray Finkel. It doesn't matter which sport that we focus on, To have an effective and an efficient eccentric load at a high rate is critical to our force production. So the next step in this video, we will move into the training area. We will discuss this exercise, the technique, the reps, the sets, the frequency, and the rest periods, and we'll be good to go. Okay, now we are in the training section. The first thing that we need to do is gather some sort of apparatus or box. I'll use this pound pad right here. The purpose of this is that we can stand on it, just like this. And later on, I will discuss squat tips and form with a barbell on our back, with kettlebells, body weights. For now, we will just focus on the squat. The first thing that we're gonna do is, as we stand on this pad right here, is we wanna keep the arms straight out and the shoulders down. To keep the shoulders down, that will help engage the lats and it'll keep the femoral head in the glenohumeral joint. And it's gonna help our body with what's called intermuscular strength, intermuscular coordination, and to promote all of our tissues to work together as one unit. So as we're here, the main focus is not gonna be to jump off the box. The main focus is gonna be the landing, and we wanna land in a squat. We will also discuss breathing in another video. For now, all I want is for us to breathe in and just hold our breath every time that we land. So we will hold our breath for roughly 2 to 3 seconds. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna keep the arms straight out, keep those lats engaged like I discussed. And the purpose is, as we jump off this platform, we wanna ensure that when we jump, the hip, knee, and ankles are extended. So we're basically perpendicular to the floor. What we want to avoid is to jump in a flexed position where the hip, knees, and ankles are flexed and have a degree to them. So again, we're avoiding this motion here. And what we want to land in the heel, and we'll jump off the platform so that way we are extended fully in the air with the arms out. We'll breathe in like I mentioned. We'll hold the air into a squat. As we stand, we squeeze the glutes, we press the knees back, and we work the proximal ends of the hamstrings that I discussed in the whiteboard section to stand all the way up. And we'll come on back. And again, we don't necessarily need to jump off of this platform too high. The objective is to focus on the landing. Oftentimes, when people are new to this drill, the landing looks like this, and they jolt. And what happens with that is the ground reaction forces back up onto our hip, knees, and ankles, basically back up onto our joints, are drastically high. And it's certainly not healthy for our knee joints, our ankle, our hip joints. And there's no eccentric load on the quads or on the proximal ends of those hamstrings. So we're back to here, arms straight out. We're gonna tuck the chin. We're gonna look through the eyebrows on the squat.
Huh? Leaner lines? I still have mobility?
We're gonna jump into the air ever so slightly. Again, we don't have to make a huge vertical jump. When we move into the jump, soft landing. Squeeze the glutes, tucking the chin, looking through the eyebrows rather than the head way up like this. Up, 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 press the knees back. Use the proximal ends of the hamstrings to finish. And there we are. So we're here. And if it's possible, I highly recommend that we use some sort of matting for our landing surface. That will help us use an equation called impulse, which is force multiplied by time. The padding on this floor is way better than a concrete or maybe even a basketball court, because it takes the peak force and it spreads it out over a longer period of time, which is how football helmets work, or a padding on a gymnastic floor, or even a trampoline.
No titties! No titties! No titties! Not you, me. I'm talking about me. My titties are gone.
So that impulse, force multiplied by time, that's why we're using these mats right here. And it's a great way to absorb some of the higher peak forces. So we put the arms out, we breathe in, we keep the lats engaged, and up. And here are a few more examples from a different viewpoint. This way you can see the flexion at the ankle, rather than the last few examples we looked at the origin of the hamstrings. One more time. Breathe in, shoulders down. Landing, soft landing. Think with the heels, squeeze the glutes to stand up. Use the proximal ends of the hamstrings. Finish. And again, the idea is to generate this skill set. to get these tissues to release so that we have a greater stretch reflex as well as a faster stretch reflex. And as these tissues start to release better and more efficiently, then you can add progressions to this drill. For now, a great rep range would be 5 reps with 3 sets. So that's about 15 landings per workout, and to do that 2 to 3 times a week. Now, if it's your very first time, I would only recommend maybe 3 sets at 3 landings each, so 9 total, because the initial eccentric load will make you ridiculously sore. To rest between each set, I would give it maybe about 3 minutes. And again, because it's more of a skill set, I'm not necessarily looking for someone to garner a workout on this drill. It's for your nervous system, it's for your tissues to learn how to release those tissues. So over the next 3 to 4 weeks, if any athlete incorporates this drill into their program and they garner a better stretch on those tissues, there's such a high correlation to improvements on their vertical jump and their standing long jump, simply because we cannot avoid the eccentric concentric paradigm law that I discussed in the whiteboard section. Here are a couple of examples. So that's it for this video. For those of you that have any questions about anything, the concepts on the board that we discussed, or if you need to get a girlfriend,
Yeah, baby.
or whatever, or even the mechanics of this drill, please feel free to use the contact information below, as my email address is there. For those of you that wish to support the creation of the content, please feel free to use the links below as well for donations.
Donations. Donation. I thought it was the trash. Don't be getting on me. Some money, stupid ass.
Very least, please like this video and all that internet nonsense. Subscribe to the channel, share this content on social media, and we will see you all next time.